The enigma of Nazi thieves stealing tons of gold and jewels during World War II, which has been a mystery for 7 decades, may finally be solved. Many secrets, artifacts, and historical sites were left behind as a result of the most significant event that occurred in the 20th century. During this time period, one of the most fascinating aspects is the existence of buried treasures, wrecks, and locations that have stories that are intriguing. The first of 15 significant discoveries is Hitler's bunker, which is covered in this video. Number 1. Hitler's Fuhrer bunker discovery. There has been a great deal of attention focused on the final headquarters of the Nazi regime. In the final days of the war, the bunker that was constructed in the middle of Berlin was intended to provide protection for Hitler and his inner circle. The bunker was constructed in 1936, and over the course of time, it increased in size to become a massive underground complex. Over the course of these final weeks, Hitler made important decisions and ultimately committed suicide with Eva Braun. The bunker was discovered by the Soviets during their conquest of Berlin in May 1945. On the other hand, the happenings inside were concealed for a number of years. The Soviets' suppression of information regarding Hitler's death and bunker operations led to the development of conspiracy theories and false information. By the time the war was over, the entrance to the Fuhrer bunker had been buried, and its location had been kept a secret for many years. The East German government made an attempt to destroy the bunker in the 1950s, and they were partially successful. As a result of the fall of the Berlin Wall and the reunification of Germany in the late 1980s, the location became more popular. As archaeologists and historians began conducting more in-depth investigations, they discovered artifacts that provided insight into the daily lives of people who lived in the bunkers. Personal belongings, military documents, furnishings, and structural elements that were discovered during excavation provided additional historical context. Number 2. Finding U-505. A German Type IIC U-boat from World War II that was taken by the United States Navy on June 4, 1944. This was the very first United States inhabitant. Navy ships had been successful in seizing enemy ships at sea beginning in the 19th century. In the years that followed, the U-505 became an important museum exhibit. U-505, which was commissioned in 1941, took part in a number of patrols and skirmishes under the command of a number of different captains. It sank 8 Allied ships despite the fact that it was plagued by mechanical problems. It was during Operation Teardrop, which aimed to locate and destroy German U-boats in the Atlantic, that U-505 was captured. The United States of America discovered U-505 off the coast of West Africa. Naval forces employing intelligence and cutting-edge anti-submarine strategies. The ship sustained significant damage from both aircraft and surface vessels, which resulted in the crew being forced to abandon ship. In a short amount of time, a boarding party from the USS Guadalcanal was able to gain control of the U-boat and retrieve codebooks, documents, and equipment for the Allied codebreakers. In order to prevent the Germans from discovering that their codes had been compromised, the capture of U-505 was concealed from the general public as well as the majority of the United States military. It was necessary to tow the U-boat to Bermuda in order to conduct confidential research. After the war, the U-505 might have been sunk for the purpose of target practice. Captain Daniel Gallery, who had captured U-505, and his brother Rear Admiral Philip D. Gallery were the ones who were able to stop it from sinking. 1954 was the year that U-505 was awarded to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The enormous submarine had to be transported to its new location, which was a massive undertaking that required the use of multiple modes of transportation. Number 3. SS Garsapa's silver cargo found. When the British cargo steamship SS Garsapa was traveling from India to Britain in 1941, it was torpedoed and sunk by a German U-boat carrying a German submarine. In order to contribute to the British military effort, the ship transported 7 million ounces of silver. During the year 2011, Odyssey Marine Exploration made the discovery of the wreck of the SS Garsapa in the North Atlantic Ocean at a depth of 4,700 meters. During the following year, a salvage operation was successful in recovering the sunken silver. The process was difficult, and it resulted in one of the most extensive and expensive recoveries of precious metals ever. The silver bullion recovered by Odyssey amounted to more than 61 tons. The recovery was praised as a notable achievement in the fields of underwater archaeology and engineering. A long-lost treasure and the lesser-known aspect of maritime logistics during World War II were both brought to light by the silver cargo that was carried by the SS Garsapa by the ship. In the context of wartime economics, it serves as a reminder of the vast resources, risks, and strategic planning that are involved. Number 4. The Enigma machine. This has become one of the most recognizable images of the vast and mysterious code-breaking theater of World War II. The significant impact that cryptanalysis had on how the war played out is embodied by the Enigma machine. Early in the 20th century, German engineer Arthur Scherbius developed it for commercial use. However, the German military quickly modified it for secure communication, and it developed into a sophisticated tool for encrypting messages that appeared to be unbreakable. There were various models of Enigma machines, but they all worked on the same basic idea: a set of mechanical rotors that rotated in unison to jumble plain text messages into a complex cipher. By adding more rotors and a plug board, the German military increased the complexity and permitted more letter permutations. The Enigma was a powerful weapon that allowed for the safe transmission of critical information because of its seeming invincibility. Several Enigma machines, which are physical representations of the code and cipher Silent War, were discovered after the war and are currently on display in museums all over the world. These artifacts serve as a constant reminder of the crucial interaction between technology, intelligence, and warfare by bearing witness to the intellectual conflict that raged alongside the actual war. Number 5. Lithuanian Jewish artifacts found hidden. During World War II, a Lithuanian research team discovered Jewish artifacts and ritual objects in the intricate tunnel system of the Great Synagogue of Vilna. This discovery revealed a previously unknown aspect of Jewish history. The Great Synagogue of Vilna, which was once a center of Jewish life and scholarship, was severely damaged during the Holocaust and then demolished by the Soviets. Its ruins represented the world's lost heritage. In the year 2016, archaeologists investigated the foundations of the synagogue as well as the surrounding area. They discovered a secret chamber that contained scrolls, prayer books, and other artifacts related to prayer and religion. It's possible that the Jewish community concealed these items during the Nazi occupation in order to prevent them from being desecrated. Vilna, which is Lithuania's Jerusalem, is connected to the thriving Jewish culture thanks to the discovery. It is a powerful reminder of the lengths that people went to in order to protect their heritage, in spite of the indescribable persecution they endured. Hidden artifacts from the Great Synagogue of Vilna contribute to the growing body of evidence that documents the resiliency of Jewish communities and the efforts they made to preserve their culture during World War II. These artifacts shed light on a dark chapter in history and celebrate faith, identity, and human dignity. The items that were recovered are more than just historical artifacts. They are symbols of the persistence of cultural traditions and the spirit of community. The unearthing and investigation of these buried treasures contributes to a deeper comprehension of a complicated history that continues to have an impact in the present day. Number 6. Bismarck sinking. Otto von Bismarck, the German Chancellor, was honored with the naming of one of the most feared German battleships during World War II. After a brief but eventful life, it was sunk in a naval battle that went down in history. The Bismarck was a naval marvel that was launched in 1939. It was equipped with powerful guns and thick armor, which would make it nearly impossible to defeat. Considering the danger that the Bismarck posed, the British Royal Navy placed a high priority on acquiring it. In May 1941, the Bismarck embarked on its maiden voyage, with the intention of causing disruptions to Allied shipping in the Atlantic. Along with the heavy cruiser Prince Jürgen, it engaged in combat with the HMS Hood and the HMS Prince of Wales. As a result of the Hood sinking during the battle, the British were taken aback. After achieving this victory, the Royal Navy continued their relentless pursuit of the Bismarck. Torpedo bombers caused damage to the steering of the battleship, which complicated the ship's ability to maneuver. It was on May 27, 1941, that the British fleet took advantage of this weakness and engaged in combat with the Bismarck. The Bismarck was surrounded and bombarded by British battleships HMS Rodney and HMS King George V. Prior to its sinking, the Bismarck sustained critical damage as a result of the hours of fighting that took place. It is believed by some that the German crew sank the ship in order to avoid being captured. This was one of the deadliest naval battles of the war due to the fact that only 114 of the Bismarck's 2,200 crew members survived. A number of decades passed before the location of the Bismarck wreck was discovered. An expedition led by American oceanographer Robert Ballard, who had previously discovered the Titanic, was successful in discovering the Bismarck in the year 1989. Number 7. Yamashita's Gold. The story of Yamashita's gold holds a significant position in the field of World War II mysteries. This legend, which bears the name of General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the Japanese commander in the Philippines, describes an enormous amount of gold and other war booty that are allegedly hidden toward the end of the war in an intricate system of caverns and tunnels. As per the narrative, the gold was purportedly looted from Southeast Asian nations under Japanese occupation and transported to the Philippines with the aim of exporting it to Japan. But as the war turned against Japan, the treasure was said to have been hidden, waiting for an eventual recovery that never materialized. When a Filipino locksmith by the name of Rogelio Rojas declared that he had discovered a portion of the treasure in the early 1970s, the legend took a dramatic turn. The story gained international attention as a result of Rojas' subsequent legal battles with Ferdinand Marcos, the then president of the Philippines, over claims that he had confiscated his find. No significant proof of Yamashita's gold existence has ever been found, despite numerous searches and intermittent reports of treasure finds. Still, the lure of the lost treasure lures treasure seekers and fuels the plethora of conspiracy theories. There are those who view the legend as a sobering reminder of the massive war crimes carried out by the Imperial Japanese forces, while others dismiss it as a result of post-war economic hardship and wishful thinking. The story of Yamashita's gold, whether or not the treasure is real, is still an intriguing part of the intricate and frequently mysterious tale of World War II. Number 8. Recovery of stolen artworks. Thousands of artworks that had been confiscated, stolen, or sold against their will were hidden away in private collections, museums, and hidden storage facilities during World War II. The Nazis were responsible for a massive theft of art and culture. The search for, identification of, and return of stolen artworks to their rightful owners or descendants has been ongoing since the war. This effort has been undertaken by governments, institutions, and individuals. The Monuments Men program, which was a significant initiative, was a program that included the monuments, fine arts, and archives component. This allied group discovered and safeguarded cultural property that was lost during the war. Their unwavering commitment conserved millions of artifacts. An abundance of looted art caches was discovered by Allied forces after the war. Highlights include the unearthing of hidden art collections in Neuschwanstein Castle, Germany, as well as a discovery of over 6,500 paintings in a salt mine in Altuesse, Austria. The process of restitution is not only difficult but also fraught with ethical, legal, and historical complications. However, there are still some artworks that have not been returned or that are in dispute. Gustav Klimt's portrait of Adele Bloch-Boyer, which was initially returned to Maria Altmann, served as a symbol of these efforts in the film Woman in Gold. In recent years, advancements in digital technology, databases, and international cooperation have improved the process of identifying and tracing art thefts. In addition to numerous national commissions, the Art Loss Register provides assistance for research, claims, and restitution projects. Number 9. The Ghost Army. In the midst of the death and destruction of World War II, an extraordinary deception operation, now dubbed the Ghost Army, had a significant, though lesser-known part in the Allied victory. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops of the United States Army were a diverse group of artists, actors, architects, and engineers who were experts in tactical deception. The goal of the Ghost Army was to fool the enemy by making it appear as though the Allied forces were more numerous. By employing a combination of auditory, visual, and radio tricks, they were able to successfully deflect German focus and resources, giving the Allies a tactical advantage. Visual deception, including inflatable tanks, model airplanes, and even model buildings that were realistically designed to resemble massive military installations. Radio deception involved operators transmitting fake reports and orders, while sonic deception used loudspeakers to simulate the sounds of soldiers and machinery. Despite being kept a secret until the 1990s, the Ghost Army had a tremendous impact on the war, and is credited with saving thousands of lives by confusing German forces, especially in the closing stages of the conflict. The Ghost Army's brilliant tactics are now honored in documentaries and museums, and a bill to give them a Congressional Gold Medal in appreciation of their significant contributions is being considered by the US Congress. The Ghost Army's legacy endures because of these continuous efforts, underscoring the value of inventiveness and creativity in combat. Number 10. Operation Bernhard's Fake Money Found. A Nazi plot to destabilize the British economy by flooding it with counterfeit Bank of England notes was known as Operation Bernhard, and it was carried out during World War II. Inmates of concentration camps who were skilled in printing and forgery were utilized by the SS in order to print fake currency worth £134 million. When the Allies made their advance in 1945, the operation came to an end, and a significant amount of the counterfeit money was discarded. Following the war, a number of forged notes were discovered, which sparked investigations and sparked intrigue. In the year 2000, a large cache of counterfeit money meant for Operation Bernhard was discovered in the location where a senior SS officer had previously concealed himself. The hoard was the link between this audacious and nefarious wartime espionage enterprise. There were bags of counterfeit notes discovered by divers on Lake Toplitz in Austria. It is believed that these notes were sunk by SS officers who were retreating. These discoveries have shed light on the methods of forgery used by the Nazis, as well as the scope and complexity of their operation. In the realm of financial warfare, Operation Bernhard stands out as one of the most ambitious and nefarious operations. The counterfeit notes are tangible evidence of this audacious wartime strategy and serve as a sobering reminder of the lengths to which regimes will go in order to accomplish their objectives. Operation Bernhard, which took place after the war, was responsible for the alteration of the British currency and contributed to the legend of covert operations during World War II. Historical researchers continue to be fascinated by the physical remnants of this audacious plot, which contributes to our comprehension of the complexities and ambiguities that are inherent in wartime tactics. Number 11. The Nazi Gold Train. The story of the Nazi gold train is one of the most enduring legends from World War II. According to legend, a German train loaded with gold, jewels, and priceless artifacts was sent from Breslau, Poland in 1945 as Allied forces advanced. This heavily guarded, armored train is said to have vanished into a system of tunnels beneath the Owl Mountains as part of the enigmatic Project Reese, a massive construction project initiated by the Nazis. When two treasure seekers claimed to have used ground-penetrating radar to locate the gold train in a secret tunnel in 2015, interest in the train grew. The arguments over the existence of the train were further stoked when Polish authorities conducted follow-up investigations and discovered no proof to back up these assertions. Critics contend that the gold train is merely a myth, a concoction of heresy and post-war rumors. On the other hand, proponents contend that there is enough circumstantial evidence, such as eyewitness reports and Nazi records, to imply that the train may actually exist. In addition to being a fascinating treasure hunt, the myth of the Nazi gold train serves as a reminder of widespread looting the Nazis committed through Europe. Whether the train exists or not, the story's enduring appeal highlights the profound influence of World War II on our shared imagination by providing a seductive mystery entwined with intriguing historical detail. Number 12. The Mouse Tank. In World War II history, the Panzer E8, also referred to as the Maus or Mouse, has a notorious place. At a whopping 118 tons, the Ferdinand Porsche-designed Maus is recognized as the heaviest fully enclosed armored fighting vehicle ever constructed. Adolf Hitler ordered it to be built. With its massive size and formidable firepower, which included a 128mm main gun that could destroy any Allied tank, the Maus was designed to punch through enemy lines while remaining impervious to attack. Its enormous weight, however, caused serious practical problems, such as slow speed, excessive fuel consumption, and the inability to cross most bridges. In the latter stages of the war, one of the Maus prototypes, which its German crew had partially destroyed to evade capture, was taken by the Red Army. Using components from the other prototype, this one was repaired and is currently on display at the Kubinka Tank Museum outside of Moscow, Russia. The Maus tank is a symbol of the excess of wartime engineering and the hubris that frequently accompanies such undertakings. The Maus is still fascinating military enthusiasts and historians, because it is a unique chapter in the history of armored warfare, even though it had no impact on the war. Number 13. Finding the sunken USS Yorktown. Over the course of the Pacific Theater of Operations, the United States ship Yorktown was an important aircraft carrier until it was sunk by Japanese torpedoes during the Battle of Midway in June 1942. The location of the final resting place of the USS Yorktown was unknown for more than 40 years. In 1998, Dr. Robert Ballard, who was responsible for the discovery of the Titanic, led an expedition that was able to locate the Yorktown, which was located more than 3 miles underwater near Midway Atoll. For the field of marine archaeology, the discovery of the USS Yorktown was a key moment. Through the utilization of cutting-edge technology and remotely operated submersibles, the expedition was able to capture breathtaking images of the wreckage that had been preserved. In addition to shedding light on the ship's final hours, the exploration brought to our attention the human cost of the war. In addition to being located, the United States ship Yorktown was a symbol of history, technology, and the tenacity of the human race. As a result of the ship's discovery, historians have been able to study one of the most significant naval battles conducted during World War II and pay tribute to the crew of the USS Yorktown. Number 14. Amber Room Recovery. Frequently referred to as the Eighth Wonder, amber, gold, and precious stones were used to create the masterpiece that was the Amber Room for the Baroque style. This decoration, which dates back to the 18th century, was found in the Katyn Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. Its fate is one of the mysteries that surround World War II. In the year of 1716, the King of Prussia presented the Amber Room to Peter the Great. As time went on, it became a symbol of the opulence and artistry of Russia. During World War II, when the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union, the room was completely destroyed. The panels were delivered in crates to Königsberg Castle, which is located in Kaliningrad, Russia. It is unknown what happened to the Amber Room after the war, which has led to a lot of speculation. The bombings carried out by the Allies are thought to have destroyed it, while others believe that it was concealed. There have been numerous searches, but the original Amber Room has not been located. Excursions to mines, bunkers, and castles were undertaken on multiple occasions during the latter half of the 20th century in an effort to locate the Amber Room. On the other hand, the original object has never been located. Nevertheless, the story of the Amber Room was altered when this long-lost masterpiece was recreated. Reconstructing the Amber Room required the use of historical records, photographs, and accounts from eyewitnesses. The Russian government, private donors, and Germany were all involved in this endeavor. During the year 2003, the Katyn Palace in St. Petersburg opened a replica of the Amber Room, which allowed visitors to experience the splendor of the original. There is no information regarding its origin or destination. However, the cargo and the Antikythera mechanism have provided insight into ancient commerce and technology. Number 15. The excavation of the mass grave in Katyn Forest. During World War II, the Soviet Union committed one of the most heinous crimes, the Katyn Forest massacre, which took place in 1940 and resulted in the deaths of 22,000 Polish officers and intellectuals. The Soviets denied responsibility for the massacre for many years, and the details of the massacre were shrouded in secrecy and political controversy. The truth was discovered through the investigation of mass graves and other locations, including the Katyn Forest. The Nazis made the discovery of the graves in 1943 for the purpose of spreading propaganda. In the aftermath of the war, the Soviets ended their investigations. Then, in the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union and the opening of archives, the full extent of the tragedy became apparent. Understanding was improved through Polish-Russian excavations that took place in the 1990s. During the course of the forensic investigation, the remains, documents, and personal effects that were discovered in the graves of Polish victims were determined to have been executed in a systematic manner. During excavations, a large number of victims were identified, providing families and Poland with a sense of closure. The excavation of the mass graves at Katyn Forest is more than just an archaeological discovery. It is also a symbolic act of telling the truth, honoring victims, and confronting a painful chapter in the history of Europe. The ongoing efforts to investigate and commemorate the Katyn massacre shed light on the intricate relationship that exists between history, memory, and justice, as well as the way in which wounds from the past continue to be felt.